Hi everyone. Well, looks like this is it. I'm finally doing it. I'm going to do a kind of quick review of each chapter, chapters 1 to 5. Full spoilers, fully showing what's happening, showing how I got on with it as well. So going through the encounter book, chapters 1 to 5, the storybook too, just very quickly giving you a rough idea of what the story is, what the encounter's like, and how I went through it, and seeing what's inside a few of these mystery boxes too. Really good stuff. It is full spoilers, so obviously don't watch this if you don't want to know what's in there. However, if you're thinking about backing the second printing, say on Kickstarter coming up, then perhaps you might want to have a taste of chapters 1 to 5 just to see what's in store for you. Remember, there's 21 chapters. There's loads of content here. So even if you did know what happened in chapters 1 to 5, you've still got loads more mystery content, another 16 chapters to go. But here it is then. Spoilers, spoiler alert, full spoiler alert, chapters 1 to 5. Let's go. Okay, chapter 1. Chapter 1 starts you off in the city of Bastogne. This is your first kind of introduction to the story mode. Really great fun. As you can see, it's a massive city, loads of locations to explore. And what you're kind of doing here is you've got a storyline where bodies are turning up or people are going missing, people are getting killed mysteriously, and it's an investigation. It's a detective storyline where you're going around trying to piece together the bits of the clues and so on, to try and work out what it could be that could be making these people disappear. And I think there's a nobleman that disappears. I believe it's a little while ago since I did this, but yeah, you're really trying to find out what's causing it, to try and stop these people going missing. So that brings you on to the encounter then. So the encounter that everyone knows by now, is the brood mother, the large rat. She starts the board with 3 smaller rats. Like I mentioned before, keep the rest of them close by because she's going to be spawning them really, really quickly. She's got a lot of hit dice, as you can see. She's got 5 different hit dice that you need to destroy. And she does a fair amount of damage. A couple of red might cubes and 3 yellow might cubes. But she's only got defense of 2, so not too strong. But she does have her giant rats that can mob you, and target one particular Oathsworn. And they attack with a yellow and white cube. It took me 2 attempts. I don't know if you remember back then, I did have the priest in my gang. He obviously left before the paint job happened, so he is still grey. But I had the priest, the penitent, the Ursus, and the harbinger, which I really enjoyed playing with. But like I say, it did take me 2 attempts to beat the broodmother. Looking for a stage card. Obviously, as you do more damage to her, she moves up through the stages, doing tougher attacks. Stage 1, a lot of spawning. She has an ability, release the brood, and it tells you on the board here what to do, but basically it spawns an extra rat onto the board. So she has cards where she's like releasing the brood and moving around and attacking somebody. A couple of those cards there. This is a bit of a nasty one, Acidic Maw. She can basically make you lose your shield, your defense value on one of your characters if she does damage. So that's a bit of a nasty card. Encourage, it means her rats can do more damage for the rest of the round or the rest of that turn. And then there's one nasty card here. The first time I played this encounter, I got hit with this straight away and it did a lot of damage to all my characters. And I think that's why I lost the encounter. It put me on a bad path anyway. But Tail Whip, a huge area effect attack there as well. So yeah, really bad. I think the second time I played it, I used the Harbinger's ability to rearrange the top 3 cards. So I kept pushing that one back and back, so I knew when it was coming. But yeah, like I say, stage 2, what does she do there? She gets a bit nastier. She's doing like a double attack, moving around the board, doing 2 different attacks. Mother's Meal, oh, this is a bit of a nasty one. She basically eats one of her own rats in order to get more health back. So if you can, you want to push that card back and hopefully not get to this card because she regains health. But yeah, really nasty. Eating her own babies, if you like, really. Oh. Encourage, again, it makes her rats do more damage. I think they gain a might cube until the end of the round on that card. Burst. Oh, these two cards are horrible. Two burst cards. She basically makes a rat that's closest to the Oathsworn explode and do area effect damage. So these are two nasty cards as well. Bursting her own babies, there's two. Yuck. And stage 3. So stage 3 for the Broodmother. I mean, straight away, if you get this card, she's gaining an extra defense, so her defense goes up to 3, so she gets tougher in this final round. Screech, that just, she lets out a screech and damages all Oathsworn on the board. So that's another nasty card in stage 3. Tail Rip, a huge area effect card. Again, you want to stay clear of that one. And then her 2, probably one of the worst 2 she's got, which really does a lot of damage if you're not careful. Acid Spit. So that's when she starts spitting acid onto the board. Stays on the board, huge area effect, and does damage to Oathsworn who are in it or pass through it. So yeah, really dangerous. She gets really feral, really nasty. And it took me 2 attempts to beat her. 2 attempts. I had the Harbinger and the Priest, who both do a bit of healing, so they were good to have. And the Penitent, who's good at defense, and the Warbear, who's good at doing damage. But I have to say, I think, like I said before, I think the Penitent went in at the end and did a lot of damage with the Priest. The Ursus just got completely swamped with mobbed by the rats, if you like, the giant rats in the middle. And the Harbinger, I believe, got knocked out, if I remember, and that's where he got his broken arm, or broken wing, probably for him. But yeah, brilliant. It took me 2 attempts. Was a good introductory encounter. I still think it's one of the best ones, really. It wasn't too easy. The models are absolutely superb. Like, everyone's seen the Broodmother, brilliant model. Little rats as well, or giant rats, really good models too. But overall, really good encounter. And once I played it a second time, I was glad to get past it. But it is one of the ones I look forward to playing again. It was a good, solid encounter to start the game with. Really good. Okay, chapter 2. Chapter 2, you are still in Bastogne. You're still in the city of Bastogne. The same locations, but you put different markers on the board, so not all of these were available in chapter 1 to go and investigate. So you've got a different collection of locations to go and investigate. But yeah, I mean, this story mode is one of my favourite. I mean, I've done chapter 5. I've just done chapter 6 as well, actually. But chapter 2 is probably my joint favourite story mode so far. I thought it was really good. It's quite sort of psychological. So it starts off and you wake up where you're staying in the tavern, and the Broken Oak Tavern, there it is. That's where you're staying. You wake up there and you're having nightmares. And your nightmares kind of feature around one of your comrades who you lost in the deep woods. So there's a bit of a backstory about your free company, and that backstory includes one of your friends getting dragged off in the dark night into the deep woods as you're going along the chain road, and that poor person's name was Samuel. And you're starting to have nightmares where you're seeing him, and that goes into your daytime. So you're going around investigating, looking at different locations and so on. And something's not quite right in the city. You can feel tension building in the city, and the writing I thought for this was really good, really brilliant. You can sense something's coming. You're going around looking for clues, trying to find what's wrong, what's going on. At the same time, you keep seeing your dead comrade Samuel. He keeps kind of appearing in certain areas. You keep thinking you're seeing him and so on. And then eventually, and this is one I didn't do too well in this one. I failed a lot of the tests and so on. I thought something was coming. I didn't quite predict what it was. Someone ended up getting murdered. I chased the murderer, the lady. She went up to the city walls, and she tried to commit suicide. I tried to save her, and I couldn't save her, and she committed suicide. And it's at that point that then you see this sort of large beastly hand coming out of the woods after she jumps off the wall, and the beastly hand comes out of the woods and sort of grabs her body and takes it away. And that leads you on to the encounter. So chapter 2 was the satyr, sort of magical minotaur type person, I guess. Great model. Let's have a quick look at his mini. Really nice mini, huge mini. He's got some poor person kind of attached to the top there. The writing's a bit gory as well. You kind of go there and you see these people sort of strung up, and he's kind of using them, I think, for his magic and his spells. But yeah, if you look at comparing to the priest, really big model, really good. Lots on the board. Let's take a look at the board. You've got walls this time, as well as all the trees going round. Now the mechanics of this are completely different. The brood mother was, animalistic and feral and fighting for her life, and her baby rat's lives and so on. This is a magic. This is like fighting a sorcerer. He's got about 6 different hit locations, lots of hit locations on there. Does more damage, got a bit more defense than the brood mother. Got a black might cube, so can do some real damage, as well as 2 red and 2 yellow. But he does this transfix. Most goes, he will do a transfix. What that means is, as well as having the stage 1, 2, and 3 monster cards, you've also got basically this pack of spells. And what happens is the character with the least amount of hallucination spells, because that's what these are, hallucination spells, gets one. So each turn, one of your characters is basically getting one of these. Now have a quick look at them. Snake. That basically, it makes you think your weapons are snakes, so you throw your weapons away. So you got to go and collect your weapons. They're out to get me. It makes you think your comrades are out to get you, and so on. Not good. It's so beautiful. It makes you think the satyr is really beautiful, so you do less damage to him when you attack him for a round or so. Oh, this is a great one. My Ursus got hit by this one. It's so hot. So basically, he got so hot, he threw all his armour away. So he had to run after and get his armour quickly. But you've got this massive pack of all these spells, so there's lots of variability. And I think just about every turn, one of your Oathsworn gets one of these thrown at them. Something new to try and combat and try to do something with. Aside from that, what is the satyr doing? Where he's knocking back. He does an attack and knock back. Backhand. I mean, a lot of these start with the transfix, where he's basically putting a spell on one of the Oathsworn. Another hull where he does an attack and knock back, but again it starts with a transfix. Then he's got 2 of these in the stage 1, stream of dark light. So he's basically using his staff to do an attack, a ranged attack, and it's a chain attack as well. So you don't want your other Oathsworn to be within 2 squares, or else they will also get hit as well. So there's a couple of chain attacks he's got there in stage 1 too, which makes him quite nasty. Stage 2, again, he's doing lots of transfixing and attacking and so on there. Gore is where he charges through and does damage to everyone he charges through. Dark light explosion. Oh, dark light explosion there. Knockback 2, area effect as well. And another transfix. So he's got all these types of cards, and a wave attack there, wave of dark light as well. Really nasty cards. Took me 2 attempts to beat him. The first attempt, I just had too many hallucinations and got knocked out. I think there's a particularly nasty card in the stage 3. Again, he stage 3, he immediately gets more defense, so he's tougher to damage. There he's doing a couple of attacks and a transfix. Another wave attack, wave of dark light. Reality collapse, these are horrible. So there's 2 of these reality collapse, these are the horrible ones. He moves to the centre of the board and then basically collapses reality around him, which means that the Oathsworn can lose 1 health for each hallucination they've got. And by then, they've had a lot of hallucinations. So I used the Harbinger to keep pushing these cards to the back of the pack. I think the second time I managed to defeat him, and I managed to do it because I kept pushing those 2 cards to the back. But really good. He'll be charging around the board, smashing down lots of the obstacles, nowhere to hide. Tough one, tougher than the Brood Mother, and probably one of the toughest ones, I think, actually, if not maybe the toughest one, I think, so far, possibly. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Loved the story mode, probably my joint favourite story mode. And the encounter was really good and really fairy because of all these hallucinations that he puts on your Oathsworn. Excellent. Right, chapter 3. Oh wow, chapter 3. This is probably my favourite story mode, or maybe joint best story mode with chapter 2. So far, story mode chapter 1 and 2 are quite sort of investigative. You're sort of, moseying on around the city, investigating stuff, having a look around and so on. Chapter 3 story mode completely different change of pace. You probably get to go to the apothecary. That's where you get your wounds healed and so on. And you get to know the lady there. Basically, they think she's a witch. They go to burn her at the stake. You can try to help her if you want or not. I did try to help her, and I gained her as an ally, which is good. But basically, she is a witch, it turns out. And when they start burning her, something within her happens, and it calls like a large monster into the city, which starts destroying the whole city. And not once it's smashed down the walls, then you've got all the other creatures from the Deepwood coming into the city as well. And basically, the city is a mass evacuation, really fast paced. Usually, when you're moving around, you use one of your Oathsworn figures to move you around. Here, you've also got the monster moving around. It says to use a token, but I actually used one of the other figures, one of the Deandri kind of drones, I think. But I use this just to represent the monster on the map anyway. And each turn it tells you where it is, and you can go and investigate, maybe some locations near it or far away from it and so on. But it is a brilliant story mode, really, really fast paced, really exciting, moving around there. You may realise I don't have the priest anymore. I have the witch now. That's because of the story mode here. So major spoiler. At the end of the story mode, or near the end, we get cornered somewhere with the beast. One of our characters, if you want, can try to run off and divert the beast, but they do die doing so. And it does warn you that. It does warn you that will happen. I wanted to switch the priest out. I wanted to try a different character. I think thematically, I think the penitent would have done it, because he wants to have a good death and atone for his sins. But I didn't want to lose the penitent. I love the penitent. So I chose the priest. The priest went off, diverted the monster, saved the day, got crushed, horribly killed. But the rest of my characters escaped. And you escape into the Deepwood with some refugees from the city. And it's then, as soon as you escape into the Deepwood, that you get suddenly thrust into the encounter mode. So encounter mode 3 is the giant worm. Now this is a busy board. Not the busiest board, but it's a busy board. You've got walls, you've got trees, you've also got all these refugee civilians with you. So you get an absolute load of these models, half of them men, half of them female. There's a male one there, lovely. And a female one there with a big spear. So you get loads of these, and what you got to do, you got to defeat the worm, and also maybe try to save some of your civilians as well. And you get points for saving the civilians, or you get rewards anyway. But they are extra mouths to feed, because now remember you're marooned in the Deepwood with all these people to feed. So be careful of that. But yeah, this is probably a step up in mechanics, I guess, really, knowing how it all works. The worm has a lot of hit points, as you can see. It's got 3 areas: tail, belly and head, and there's quite a few special rules on this one. 2 black might and 2 red might, so it is strong. I got hit badly with this one straight away. 2 of my Oathsworn, let's get the priest here again, I think it was the Ursus and the penitent, got eaten straight away. But they got consumed. And I made a bit of a mistake there. So they got consumed, which means they get put inside the belly location. Now I read the card about being consumed and thought that was it. What I didn't realise, so just a warning, was actually in the rule book, the encounter rule book, there is actually a whole section about what it means to be consumed, and importantly, how you get out of being consumed. So I didn't realise that. So my guy stayed in the belly of the worm for the entire encounter because I didn't think I could escape until the end of the encounter. I still managed to get through it though, first time, which I was quite surprised about. So that wasn't too bad. And I saved quite a few of the civilians. You can go up, when you're next to one, you can do an action or spend an animus, and you move them four squares. And once they go off the board, you've saved them if you like. If you don't, the worm will probably eat them at some point. Go for them and eat them. So yeah, really good encounter. Only 2 parts of the worm start on the board. The way it moves, if it's moving 3 northeast or 2 northeast, it will go 1, or say 6. Let's say it moves up here. The belly part then follows it, and the tail goes where the belly part was. Okay, so it kind of moves along each turn, with the belly being previously where the head was, and the tail being previously where the belly was. But really good, lovely model. These look really good painted. Look at that. Yikes, nasty thing. So I will get around to paint all these at some point. But really good encounter. I probably prefer the satyr one with the hallucination spells. I probably thought that was a slightly better, but this was a really good one. It is busy though. If I had the terrain pack, it might be a bit difficult to get to all the models and see what's going on if you've got these big trees and walls coming on. I would like the terrain pack. I mean, I'm not dissing it, but it would definitely be a lot busier with the terrain pack. So there's a lot going on here. Really good adventure, and it leaves you stranded then in the deep wood, with all these refugees, ready for the next chapter. But yeah. Right, chapter 4. Chapter 4 is very different from all the other chapters so far. Chapter 4, you open this small mystery box. Is it N or Z? I'm not too sure. But you open this small mystery box that is in the large box. And what is in there is all of these deep wood tile cards. So you've got a load of cards that have the deep wood on one side and then impassable thorns or terrain on the other side. And you've got a load of sort of location cards too, where you get told to put them out at certain times, like you're in a village or a camp, etc. Now this one I did without the app. So far I have been playing on the app, but chapter 4 wasn't available on the app when I did this, which is fine, so I used the storybook instead. And what happens is you start your journey, and it tells you what to put in the squares next to you, whether there's a impassable terrain, or a couple of other areas you can move into. And what you also do use for this is the journal as well, the journal book. And what that has got in it, it's got a little map, a rough map of the deep woods. So you're going to be using that in order to try and navigate where you need to go. So you turn it wherever you go. If you decide to go east, for example, in the book it'll tell you and it'll show you what will be on those squares. So it might say, oh, you move east. Okay, so to the north of you there's a camp. To the south of you there's empty, you can move on there. Or to the east there's impassable terrain. So you're slowly building it up, and it gets pretty large actually by the end. To begin with, you start off, you don't know how much space you're going to need, but you do need quite a bit of space for this, just as much as you would for the map, I would say, probably. So yeah, very different. It probably all leads you to the same spot at the end, where you hit the encounter. But yeah, very, very different mechanically. I mean, I have to say I do prefer the city maps to this, but this is a good contrast. And I think, like Toby, one of the creators, said, it gives you that sense of kind of struggling through the deep wood really well as well. So it was interesting. It was a good way of giving you that kind of sense of struggle through the deep wood. You've got all the refugees with you too. Ever so often you have to eat rations. So this is where you may have collected rations in the city story mode, and you might have been wondering what are these rations for. But this is where you use them now. This is where you use them in the deep wood with the refugees. And at some point you've got to decide whether to feed yourself or feed the refugees, because you might not be able to feed both, or you might not want to feed both. But perhaps you might not mind losing a few refugees maybe. But anyway, great story mode. What it leads to is the encounter where basically you come across a deserted village within the deep wood, and basically you then get ambushed and attacked by a tribe, a Scar tribe, I think it is. Yeah, the Scar tribe. So here they are. Great picture. Love this picture. It reminds me a bit of the Hate board game by Simon. But yeah, but this is really this is a much better game than that. Yeah, really love this. This is probably one of my favourite boss encounters so far. Who you've got? You've got the main pack leader who's got two dice health. You've got the shaman who's like the magical user really, or the healer. You've got the berserker. You've got two berserkers. I call them the twins, but you've got two berserkers there. And you've got the Bone Maiden, who's the lady of the spear. So it's really good. It's kind of your gang that you've been through a few things now. Let's bring the Harbinger over as well. Up against this gang, if you like, as well. So it's a real good matchup. And you do have lots of civilians on the board as well for this one. I haven't put them out for this, but again, this is another really busy board with lots of civilians that you can save, or you can leave them to get killed by the Scar tribe. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Great sort of matchup. You know, you've got their shaman against my Harbinger. You've got the Bone Maiden perhaps against the witch. You know, you've got the leader. Really good model. That's the Scar tribe leader. There, really nice. Bring forward a bit. The shaman model as well, really good. And you've got the two berserkers with their swords on chains there. Another look, really dynamic pose of the Bone Maiden. Really good. So you got that pack up against your pack, and you got all the civilians in the mix as well. So it's a really good battle, this one, really good. I like the cards too. The cards are a bit interesting. So you've got stage 1, 2 and 3 again. The stage 3 ones were probably less interesting maybe. I think the stage 1, 2 ones are really good. Just having a quick look at them. You've got War Cry, which is where all Scar tribe move and they target people and so on, and they kind of run away afterwards as well. So they keep moving around the board. You've got a couple of Mutilate. So Mutilate is where I think stage 1 is all about the berserkers. I targeted them first anyway, but I think that's what you got to do in stage 1 is target the berserkers. They've got these cards where the berserkers both target the Oathsworn closest to the centre of the board. If tied, they pick the highest Oathsworn with the highest health. So you know they're doing a double attack, a mob attack. The berserkers are, and then you've got these nasty chain hook cards, which basically the berserkers run up to a target, drag them back. So I guess they get them on their chain, drag them back with them, and then they attack them. So some sort of nasty cards there from the berserkers there. Stage 2 cards are really good. This is when the shaman and the Bone Maiden come into play. So the Bone Maiden's got a poison spear where she does a special attack. This is the shaman's card really, where he tries to heal the other Scar tribe move towards him if he's still alive, and he heals them, so be careful of that one. He's got a couple of them. And then Death from Above, this is brilliant. So this is basically the Scar tribe. They all disappear from the board. You remove them from the board, and they target the Oathsworn with the highest amount of health. And what they will do, I will show you this quickly if I remember it rightly. Say the penitent's got the most health. They will all drop down from the trees above into the squares around him. But what you do get to do, you get to move your other Oathsworn, I think it's 2 or 3 squares, or 3 squares. So all other Oathsworn can move 3 squares. So what you can quickly do is try to quickly get in the squares around him, so that then he'll only get attacked by, say for example, 3 of the Scar tribe, as opposed to being completely surrounded by all of them. So that's a really cool thematic card. I absolutely love that, and there's 2 of those in there. Really good fun. The stage 3 ones though weren't. I think the more fun cards were in stage 1, stage 2. Stage 3 is more about, there's a couple of chain attacks there. A couple of few cornered animal. You know, they basically attack all targets they're adjacent to. Getting angry, getting desperate. And then it's just targeting the Oathsworn with the least amount of health. So the stage 3 ones there weren't that interesting, but the previous ones were. I think that's probably because at stage 3, they wouldn't know which the Scar tribe was still alive, probably. To get to stage 3, you've probably killed off most, if not all but one of the Scar tribe. So they probably couldn't really do, character specific cards there, I guess, for stage 3. But really love that encounter. Again, I did get through that okay. I think I got an injury, but I drew a curative card, which means I escaped getting an injury. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Got through it first time. Great mission. I saved probably about 4 civilians, I think. Not too many, but that means I got less rations I have to feed them with. So that was good news. But yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Really nice figures as well for these. Really great, and looking forward to painting them. Okay, chapter 5. So at the end of chapter 4, you find your way out of the deep woods, and at chapter 5, you enter the city of Ferrum. There. Much bigger city than Bastogne. Bastone's now gone anyway. It's been taken by the deep wood. But yeah, big city to go into. You start off having a bit of trouble getting in. As you kind of make your way in, you get attacked, and you have to sort of kill what's attacking you before the guards open up the gate and let you into the city. So yeah, have a bit of trouble to get in. You meet some new characters. There's a new leader of the city. Also, you meet the Watchers, or you see the Watchers. These are these cloaked, shadowy figures that advise the king here. But they seem really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing more about them, or learning more about them. Basically, you come in with the refugees from Bastogne. You're seen as heroes. The king gives you a pub, which you call the Broken Oak, which is the pub you had in Bastogne. So you've remade the Broken Oak, and now your free company owns it. So you're in a pub. What more could you want, eh? What more could you want? And life goes back to normal. You don't do a lot, but then you get given a contract. Apparently, a team of loggers who go out to get wood. They all got destroyed, all got killed. And you have to go out and find out what happened to them and kill whatever monster killed them. One interesting thing here actually as well is the green streets. So you kind of get introduced to the Deandri, like the plant people, and they all live in this area called the Green Streets. So there's lots of narrative for all these different locations. It's really good. Lots of really good stuff going on there. So you take this contract on, and you go out into the deep wood to try and work out what happened to these loggers, and try to make the area safe again, because the city needs wood. It needs to build. Story mode was good. It was good. It's a good city one. It was nice to get back to the city and do story mode. It's a lovely map. Like you say, it was things getting back to normal. Like I said, chapters 1 to 4 felt like they were a bit of their own little story arc, I guess. In a greater story, of course, but their own story arc. But then this is like getting back to a new city and getting things back to normal again for your free company. So that leads you on to the encounter, which is the bloatfly. When I saw this one, I thought, oh, okay, yeah, it's a giant insect. But actually, this is one of my favourite encounters. The models are gorgeous. So you've got this absolutely huge detailed bloatfly, which looks amazing. So a good look there. Let's pop them back there. And you've got loads of these sort of flying maggots, which are pretty horrible as well. You've got a lot. How many you got? You've got 6 of them. The board, you've got all these civilians. So you've gone out with a new team of woodsmen to cut down the trees, and you need to defend them from this. I think I got ambushed. So yeah, again, another one where you can decide to sort of help the civilians or not, and there could be a reward if you do help them. But the mechanics of this encounter I thought were absolutely brilliant. Now what it does, most cards start with Infest and then Parasite emerges. Parasite emerges first. Infect means basically the bloatfly will move to the nearest civilian, okay, and infect them. And you put like a little mic cube on so you know they're infected. Parasite emerges means that an infected civilian obviously dies, and another flying maggot comes out of their body. So you've got another maggot fly to deal with on the board. So really dangerous. Now, when they do the infesting, I mean, I went off. I kind of split my team. The Harbinger went off and started saving civilians and moving them off the boards, whereas the Penitent, the Witch, and the Warbear went straight for the Bloatfly. Well, I think we got rid of the maggots first, and then went for the Bloatfly. I saved about half the civilians, and then I suddenly realised most cards start with a infest, and it does say if there's no civilians left on the board, it will infest a free company or an ally. So then I thought, well, hold on a second, let's keep a few civilians on the board here. Let's not get too hasty saving people. So I think that's the trick. Don't save the civilians, because once they're off the board, it'll be coming for you. It'll be coming to infest you. A strong enemy. These flying maggots have 6 defense, which is massive. The Bloatfly's got 4, but it's got a black and 4 red might cubes, so it does a lot of damage. And it's got the five health cubes there as well. So, like I say, interesting mechanics here at play. It's got a couple of digestive vomit cards. These are attacks where for every health point, you also lose a shield defense point as well. So they're dangerous. You really want to defend those well. Don't let those hit you. You got Sting, which does additional damage. I think there's a couple of Sting cards, where it does additional damage if it does any damage. And then you got the Screeching Wings. So this basically, it might do more damage the further apart your Oathsworn are. So before this comes into effect, you want to quickly try to get your Oathsworn together. When you see this card at the top of the deck, you want to move them together. The further away they are, the more of the white might cube damage you take. So you want to get them as close together as possible. Stage two cards. More great cards here. Dive Bomb, really good. Basically remove the Bloatfly from the boards, and then you use the hex marker to place it over the most amount of Oathsworn. So here I can't get 3, I can get 2. So it will look on the board for where it can place this to hit the most Oathsworn, and then do an attack there, area effect attack and knockback. So yeah, really good. A couple of Dive Bomb cards there. And you got Drop. This is a really good one as well. So it targets, but you remove the Bloatfly and its target from the board. So basically it's come in and it's swooped down and it's picked up one of your Oathsworn. Then it drops them in the middle of the board. But, and this is the exciting bit, you get to pick 2 yellow cubes and you can move an equal distance to the result on the yellow cubes. And if you do, you can then absorb the damage among your Oathsworn. So she's going to take 4 health damage when she drops down. You want to move your other Oathsworn around her as much as you can, and then you can share that damage out. So that's a really good kind of exciting mechanic there. So that's a good one, Drop. I think there's a couple of those as well. And then you've got Re-emergence. So that's where more flying maggots appear on the board, really, from dead bodies. But yeah, excellent. And the stage 3. Stage 3 card, you've got Gust, which is a really big cone area effect attack. From the Bloatfly, and you've got a couple of them, so be careful for them. A Spin Strike. The dangerous part about this is you'd redraw all blanks, so that's quite dangerous. Again, all these cards have the Parasite Emerges and Infest on them, so you're constantly in danger of having more of these flying maggots come onto the board. And you've got Buzzing Doom, which is a ranged attack, and Brain Drain. Brain Drain is quite a tough one too. You basically only get 1 shield for it, really, so it can do quite a lot of damage too. Again, I got through this one okay. I wasn't ambushed. I came in fully prepared, and I really thought about all my moves for this one, and really sort of teamed up my players' abilities really. So again, I got through this one okay. Got through this one pretty well. And I did really enjoy this one. The mechanics of this one I thought worked really well. Like you say, you've got all these flying maggots you need to deal with, which are tough. They've got 6 defense. you want to say civilians, but then you don't, because if you don't, then the infestations will come for you instead. And it's just a great miniature, really good miniature, really detailed base as well. Really nice that one. So yeah, that's chapters 1 to 5 so far. I've done the story mode for chapter 6, and I'm about to do the encounter. But really enjoying it so far. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a taste of the first 5 chapters. There are 21 chapters, so there's still so much of the game. This is not quite a quarter of the game, so there's still so much more to discover. So yeah, if you watch this and if you're not too sure about getting in on the second printing or getting a copy on the second-hand market, hopefully this will give you a bit of a taste about what's in Encounter and what you can expect, and if it's something that you might want to purchase. Okay. Cheers.